Good morning, class. Nice to be back together with you. We are studying the Intertestamental Period. I'm Pastor Dick LaFountain. I'm going to be your teacher or your facilitator. We have a lot of documentation on our website. You can go there and get all the information you want, including this video. It's www.ministrytoday.org. Now write that down. We'll have it in our notes. We'll send it out to you by email. If you're listening to this and are not a subscriber, we encourage you to subscribe on YouTube. That helps us to know how many people are listening. It also helps you to be informed whenever we put out a new video. Today we're looking at the intertestamental period, and our first lesson is about time and dates. Time and dates. It's really about history, and this whole course is about history. It's the intertestamental period, the period between Malachi and Matthew. It's about 400 years. 400 years that is a mystery because we know nothing about it. And so our purpose here is to teach you about that intertestamental period, which led up to the coming of Christ, which leads into the second coming of Christ. All that I think is very important for us. So I trust you can join with us and keep with us as we study these important truths. Now, I don't know about you, but history is not my favorite thing. At least it wasn't when I was in grade school, high school, and college. I had some teachers that were really very, very boring. I had one teacher in a history class in college, and it was one of the hottest rooms with that steam heat and all, and you're sitting there, and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're tired, and it's just after lunch, and he would lecture on and on and on. And all I can remember about the class is that he always licked his chops after every sentence. He always went, and then he continued. That's the only thing that could keep me awake. Perhaps you've had the same experience with history. You remember the old song that says, don't know much about history, don't know much about biology, don't know much about science books, and don't know much about the French I took. Well, that's true with most of us. We don't know much about history. But we want to change that as we look at history and how important it is. I want to give you a couple quotes of people that talked about history, and I think it's important because history is important. It's part of who we are. The first quote I have here is from Winston Churchhill, at least allegedly, and he's quoting another philosopher. He says, "Those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it." And that's so true. If you fail to learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. And one of my teachers said in high school, remember this one thing from history class, and that's the one thing I remembered. History repeats itself. Alexander Solzhenitsyn says it this way: if we don't know our history, then we simply will have to endure all the same mistakes, all the same sacrifices, all the same absurdities, all over again, times 10. And that's so true. Rand Paul says it this way: the only thing we learn from history, I'm afraid, is that we learn nothing from history. History is important because it helps us understand the past so that we can adjust our future. Michael Crichton, the great author, I love his books. Michael Crichton says this: if you don't know history, then you don't know anything. You are a leaf that does not know it is part of a tree. Wow. And finally, Mark Twain, one of my favorite authors, a great humorist, he said this way: the two most important days of your life are the days in which you were born and the day you found out why. Wow. You were born for a purpose, and history is about that purpose. History is his story. Write that down. H-I-S-S-T-O-R-Y. His story. This is the story of God and God's work in the world. He created the world. He made it for a purpose, and history is the recording of all that God did and all that he will do to the end of time.